So, Marcellus, do you trust Tom Brady's Bucs down the stretch?
I do trust the Bucs. I do trust Tom Brady down the stretch. Obviously, postseason ball is synonymous with Tom Brady and his success. So you know that when it comes to this moment of time, Tom Brady's going to show up for that moment. Now, it's a team game, and it's a team accolade to go out there and say we're Super Bowl champions. So he's going to need everyone in tow for them to go out there and achieve their goals. That said, ooh, Tampa. Yeah, I don't even know how to say this, but in life, I remember in high school at least 3 different moments when I really wanted to go to that party. And then my mama was like, hell no. My mom was 6'1", 250. So when she said no, I felt no. I felt
all
no.
that no.
Through her words, I felt the no.
I respect
so,
it.
okay, mama said 6'1", 250, bigger than me at this time in high school. Nah, you ain't going. Okay. And then, you know, you're on the phone still with your friends and you're trying to figure out the soft response to, nah, I can't go. But my mama said no. It's, nah, man, what time is it going to start? Oh, what time it going to end? I got practice. Oh, I got to do some push-ups. Like, you're making up stuff. Then finally your boy says, oh, you can't go? Okay. Then you start thinking about, maybe I need to sneak in. Maybe I need to just go any way I can go. But I got to deal with mama if mama catches me. Facts. Here's the thing. Just imagine that this Tom Brady team that wanted to be the #1 seed, obviously, wanted to win the division, obviously, because look at the perks of that. But then there are some good things that can happen from you hearing a no. That's not happening for you. My mama told me no. I heard about shootings at all those parties. Pat, 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 pat. Thank you, mama. What about the Tom Brady and the Bucs? Guess what they lined up for? The NFC East winner in the first round of the playoffs. Is that a bye week, basically? You get to play Washington, Giants, Dallas. They're trending right now to play that team that comes out the NFC least. Oh, I'm glad that somebody upstairs said it. Nah, y'all not going to get everything you want, but it's still going to be good to you, good for you. I look at this team right now establishing a winning, never say die culture. Why? Down 17-0. Acho and his team's back, well, looking at your record, y'all would have tapped out. Y'all ain't have a Tom Brady on your squad, and Acho, you wasn't Tom Brady either. I keep telling you that. You hate that point. I know how to jab you. Point being, Tom Brady, in these moments, he doesn't flinch. He doesn't blink. And that's why his team didn't flinch. His team didn't blink. 5 years prior to Tom Brady, using the same team and organization, that team was 7-36 in second-half comebacks, the Buccaneers. Oh, what about Tom Brady this year? Already 3 comeback victories for this same team. He is planning the season. You're starting to see a blossom of a winning culture that will pay dividends once we go forward in the postseason.
Marcellus, you're a funny man. You're a funny man. I can always tell you're going to give me a terrible take when you take me through an elaborate story, but you never land said plane. Sir,
I did land the plane.
No,
they didn't get what they wanted.
It was an incredibly, captivating take. Like, I wish you were reading it to me as a book, like, well, Emmanuel, once upon a time. But as far as making real sports sense, you didn't make any of it. No, I don't trust Tom Brady's Bucs.
What?
You shouldn't trust Tom Brady's Bucs. The whole season, Tom Brady's Bucs have been deceptive. Now, I understand. We're on two sides of the coin here. I have trust issues. You do not. Okay. But it's becoming even more so apparent when we debate this topic. Marcel, why would I trust this Buccaneers team when the defense, which has actually been like who we should depend on all season long, 23rd ranked defense since week 7. Now, that might sound like, okay, Acho, you're nitpicking stats. Don't do that to me. Let's talk about it. Falcons scored 27. Chiefs scored 27. Rams scored 27. Panthers scored 23. Saints scored 38. You're right. I skipped a game. I skipped the Vikings game. They only scored 14. They also missed 10 points worth of field goals and extra points. Historically bad night since 1961. So I can't trust Tom Brady's Bucs.
You skipped it.
Because before I even get to Brady's Bucs, can I talk about the defense of the Bucs? The defense which we hung our hat on dating back to the Packers game, which the whole world watched, and we said, oh, these Bucs is legit. Defense gone now, Coach. The other reason I can't trust Brady's Bucs, I've said this last week, I will say it again. Bruce Arians brought, Buccaneers fans brought Tom Brady to Tampa to win playoff games against playoff teams.
And we haven't played in the playoffs yet. So
haven't.
So we're good.
But you know what you have
Next
done?
point,
You played playoff teams. Marcellus, I'm not going to clap I'm telling you, I ain't used this in a while, and I'm glad I missed it.
I know where you're going. Don't tell me about no fish swimming and stuff. You going there?
I'm not going to applaud a fish for swimming, and I will not applaud Tom Brady for beating bad teams. You want me to clap for Tom Brady? Clap for yourself. You want me to clap for Tom Brady for beating a 4-10 Falcons team without a head coach? That's what you want me to do?
Don't do that to the Falcons.
Marcellus, Jameis Winston, even Jameis beat bad teams. We got the full screen. I don't got to lie to you. Let's look at the Bucs quarterbacks the last 2 seasons. Jameis was 7-3. And then actually, I think, Jameis was 7-3 versus non-playoff teams. I might be reading that wrong. Tom Brady was 8-1 versus non-playoff teams. But Jameis was 0-6 versus playoff teams. Tom Brady only 1-4 versus playoff teams. We brought Tom Brady. I don't say we, because I ain't do it. But y'all brought Tom Brady to Tampa to beat playoff teams, not to beat the Falcons. I did not gain any trust in Tom Brady's Bucs for overcoming a 17-point deficit against the Atlanta Falcons. Sorry, sir.
Look, I get it. When I see Atlanta Falcons, I think of 2 things. 1, they ain't that good. And 2, they're going to let you come back in those games, no matter how many points they score in the early parts. That said, you always remind me of how the Philadelphia Eagles perform in December. You always say the latter part of the season, resilient bunch, they're going to find a way to dig themselves out of the same hole that they dug for themselves. Atlanta Falcons kind of in the same breath. Last year, how did the Atlanta Falcons finish up their season? With 4 straight victories, 6 of the last 8. Only reason I bring that up is because I knew this would occur once again this year. The Atlanta Falcons is just one of those teams that can't get right. As soon as you count them out, they're like, no, we're here. Then as soon as you start banking on them, they're like, no, we're not that good. And that's what the Atlanta Falcons are. They are a dangerous team if you just look at the numbers, if you just look at the names. But if you look at the execution, that's when you have to scratch your head. Looking at the Bucs going against them, I knew that was going to be a dogfight. It's the end of the year. Atlanta's not going anywhere, and that's when they turn it on. That said, I'm still looking at Tom Brady as the cherry on top with this situation. They came to an understanding in philosophy, which will take a little of the exclamation point off of this team. In terms of offense or defensive production, you won't see the extremes you saw under Bruce Arians when he had full control. With Tom Brady there, he likes complimentary football, boring football. Look how the Patriots won for all of those years, for 20 years, 2 decades worth of, at times, yawn football. But at the same breath, they always found themselves in moments of victory or at least in contention. How can you now look at a team that has 9 victories, last year only 7, they still have 2 games to go, could be an 11-5 bunch, and you're looking at this team as not a team that you're believing in going down the stretch?
Because I'm trusting you down the stretch. Down the stretch means playoff games. Down the stretch doesn't mean against the Detroit Lions. Okay, sure. But what is the now? The here and now is tomorrow, the next week, the next week. The next week is the playoff.
But you're playing against teams that have nothing to lose, which is a dangerous opponent. And then you're playing against teams that, the NFC East is your first round opponent, whoever that is. Come on, man. This team's going to be in the thick of things.
Well, I'm not going to get distracted. I'm going to come back. I'm going to write this down. I'm going to come back to that NFC East point. Let me ask you this, though, big dog.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, what position group was his favorite target last year, over the last 3 years?
Running backs.
Running backs. Good answer.
Yeah.
But running backs, for the Buccaneers, Leonard Fournette, the lead running back as of now, Ronald Jones is hurt, he's tied for the lead league in drops. So the one thing, like the safety valve is what you call it in football. The running backs were Tom Brady's safety valve. If all else fails, I'm going to check it down to my running back. He had James White. He had Rex Burkhead. If everything goes wrong, here is my safety valve. It's like having a safety school. It's like if anything goes bad, I'm going to go back to this school. Tom Brady's safety valve, the Buccaneers, it's leaky. The running backs, Leonard Fournette, it's leaky. So that's my other issue. That's the other reason I don't trust him. But how about this? I'm going to use Tom Brady against himself and really against your argument. Yesterday, Tom Brady talking about Antonio Brown, and I'm going to cut a little bit out of the quote, but he says this: as a quarterback, it's tough sometimes because you have a lot of guys you open and you have to distribute the football to different guys. He says Mike Evans gets a lot of looks. Chris Godwin gets a lot of looks. AB gets a lot of looks, but this is the part you got to pay attention to. You can't split the football in 3 or 4 different ways.
Oh, damn it.
I told you at the beginning of the season this was an issue, but you were like, when I hear y'all got too much talent, that just tells me you scared. Well, how about when Tom Brady says, as a quarterback, there's one ball and you can't split it in 3 or 4? That's an issue to me because why, Marcellus, who are you going to depend on in the playoffs? AB, Scotty Miller was a hero last week. AB was a hero this week. Mike Evans has been the hero 3 or 4 times this past year. Who are you going to depend on if you're the Buccaneers? What's your identity? You don't have one.
Oh, stop that, please. I don't see too much football to know that you can have a carousel of characters and get the job done. You don't have to depend on just one. Who's the lead guy? Who's the alpha? You remember the greatest show on turf? You want to name how many good receivers they had? 97?
Isaac, Bruce, Marshall, Falk.
You knew that. Wait a minute. And
you knew that
Isaac
was gonna
King.
get it.
Oh, you gonna do Isaac King like
I'm
that?
just saying,
you just
Torrey
did it.
Brook,
That's my
Torrey
point.
Holt, Isaac, Bruce, Marshall, Falk. They was the dogs.
Yes, they were the dogs, and they had another one with them. He ain't no puppy either, Isaac King. They were dogs. Point being, you scored 31 points, and Acho wants to take it out of context, his words, and say, you can't split the ball in 3 and 4. What does that matter? You scored 31 points, so we don't have a problem offensively. And on top of that, we don't have a problem having too much talent. As a matter of fact, since you want to use quotes, how about this? Here's a quote. Don't take my word for it. Listen to his teammates. And when they said, Brady doing it on the biggest stage has inspired all of us. We have a ton of confidence in him, and he puts that confidence in us as well. That's coming from Devin White. You know who Devin White is? He had a game. He's a beast, and I got to give him this props. 3 sacks, 12 tackles, 4 for loss, 3 quarterback hits, and 2 passes defense on that vaunted defense. You ever had a game like that? Me either. That's the point. They have defenders, they have players. You can never have too much talent, and you got to go.
Let me ask you this, because you've been bobbing and weaving this like Ali in his prime for the last 2 weeks. I've told you, and the stats back it up, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers do not perform the same in primetime games. For y'all that ain't been tuning in, non-primetime games, Ronald Jones, top-tier running back in the NFL, Buccaneers lead running back when he's healthy, 16 carries a game. Primetime games, Ronald Jones, only 9 carries a game. Non-primetime games, Scotty Miller, the early-on hero for the Bucs, 4 targets a game, 430 yards on the season. Primetime games, Scotty Miller only has 2 targets a game. At least, don't act like that's coincidence. Does it not worry you that the Bucs can't win in prime? They change their whole identity in primetime games, and they can't beat playoff teams?
Okay, let me answer it after I get a nugget off. You know me, I love my nuggets. Tom Brady, second half, most yards by any quarterback this year in the second half. Can you applaud that? At least an old ass man out
Collection
there.
bias.
Collection bias. Okay, I'll give you that. All right, let me answer your question. Since you're playing the NFC least winner, that playoff game won't be in primetime. Not a problem. Let's roll on, big dog.